Open up your eyes, take a look at me. Get the picture fixed in your memory. I'm driven by the rhythm like the beat of a heart. And I won't stop until I start to stand out.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the LorcanaCast, your Premiere Disney trading card game podcast. My name is Sugi, and we are so happy to have everyone join us this week for part 2 of our speculation on the secondary market for the Lorcana trading card game. So if you missed out, you can check out the podcast on Apple, Spotify, LorcanaHQ.com. We're on YouTube. But basically, we took a 2-hour-ish recording and cut it down into 2 separate episodes where myself, Chris, and Jason just kind of sit down and speculate on what we think the Lorcana secondary market will look like now, what we think it'll look like in the future. And we just really had a lot of fun talking about our experiences with trading card games and how that may or may not affect Lorcana in the long and short term. So thank you everyone for joining us, and let's just jump right back in. I get to play devil's advocate again. I'm the middle person here.
Go back and forth.
I like to be the indecisive question. The person people go, man, this guy's just going to say something terribly, interestingly questionable. I am basing a lot of this prediction off of my experience with working the secondary market. So I used to run with Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon people. You know, we made lots of money off of the secondary market where, you know, you buy low, sell high, just like the stock market. So there's a lot of trends, there's a lot of predictions, there's a lot of reading. It's fun if you have the knowledge and the time and the money, because it's really hard to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
Generally, you have to be able to read the meta, you have to read the popularity, you have to read the community to note, hey, you know, people are starting to think Elsa decks are really good. Okay, buy Elsa, buy Elsa, buy Elsa. And then if people realize, oh, never mind, that deck's really bad, you're out of a lot of money. Or people go, no, we figured out how to make Elsa really good. So, you know, you buy an Elsa at $1 and then she pops up to $10 and boom, you've made some money when you've bought up to 100 Elsas. But my prediction for where the secondary market for these specific cards will look like in 1 year, I think it's going to drop pretty significantly. So I guess we'll talk about Mickey and then the D23 set. So I think Mickey, I agree with Jason. I think he's going to drop because I don't think he's foil. He's a free card that people had access to. The only thing that really gives him value is the D23 stamp and the limited edition print. So we believe that there's, what did we think? 5,000, I think, is what they said.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
Of Mickey. I don't remember. It was like 5,000 or 9,000. There's not a lot of Mickey. So theoretically, based on, you know, people who are there and Twitter and YouTube and all that stuff, there's a bunch of Mickey cards. Unfortunately, some of those Mickeys are going to be thrown in the trash because we're fully aware that people standing in that line had no idea what this card game is. They just thought it was cool. There's a line.
Right.
Maybe I'll get to meet my favorite, you know, voice actor and get an autograph. Oh, this is a trading card game? Oh, I don't care. But they were literally handing the Mickeys out to people in line. So there were people, I think I was reading on Reddit or Twitter, that said there was, you know, like older ladies that were in line and they handed them the Mickey Mouse and they didn't want it. So this person, you know, asked if they could have it. So there's going to be a range of these Mickey Mouse cards that just get thrown away, bent, put in someone's pocket, never ever seen ever again. We just can't account for it because the people in line were not 100% trading card game players. So that reduces the amount of cards in the wild, which brings up, you know, the price point, because whatever the number is that was printed is not the actual amount of Mickeys in the wild. However, due to his non-foiling and the fact that we'll be able to get that Mickey card in the, you know, first set, maybe he sits at like 100. Like the only thing giving him any value is the collectability. But the thing is, once everyone has the card, then the only collectability is that literal stamp, and then that value of stamp becomes arbitrary based on what collectors are willing to pay for it. So in my opinion, I think that the collectability of the card will drop early. However, if the game lasts 5-10 years, I do think that Mickey will go up in value because there will progressively be less and less and less and less and less in the wild. But that's purely speculative. It's a roller coaster ride. He could go way up, he could go way down, he could do nothing. I don't know. But that's my guesstimate, is like right now, super, super hot. Like sell it if you can, make a lot of money. And then when the set drops, he's probably going to drop. So if you're playing the long game, buy him. And then if the game lasts more than 5 years, he'll probably shoot up pretty high, because that's the first original Mickey Mouse card with the D23 stamp, which means value.
Right.
That's my prediction. When it comes to the 6 cards running for $3,000, I'm very confident they're going to tank probably down into the hundreds. I mean, the only reason why they're holding such a value is because collectors are making it that valuable. But once again, once the game drops, the average person doesn't care about a foil D23 stamp card versus the regular version they can get on TCG Player for $5. If I walked up to the average player and said, hey, you can buy this, foiled out D23 Elsa from 2023 for $500, or you can buy this regular one that you get from a booster pack for $5. I'm pretty confident the average player will pay me $5. So at that point, the value of the D23 packs are at the mercy of the collectors trying to boost the value of the cards. Will it sustain at $3,000? Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to drop to like $20, but I'm pretty confident like the low end will probably be around 800, and then the mid range will probably be about 1,000 to 1,200, because like Chris was saying, it is a piece of history, but it's only history to people who care to pay for it, if that makes sense.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see. I don't really think that the cards are, from a player's perspective, worth what it's being asked. Now, if you're a collector, I do see the value in it, but I'm also pretty confident if you're willing to wait it out, you probably can get it sub 1,500 in about a couple months, maybe 6 months. The big thing right now is the game is not even 3 months old, so it's really hot. There's only a few copies in the wild because not everyone's trying to sell it. That's a big thing that people don't realize is if there's only allegedly 300 copies sold per day, there were 3 days, so a total of 900 copies. Okay, that's a low amount of printing, so that's already valuable. And then a lot of people are going to keep their print because they paid for it, so that means there's probably not 900 copies in the wild. There might be 400 copies in the wild. So, okay, it's expensive. And then people who are buying these cards are going to do one of two things. They're either going to keep it or they're going to try and flip it for a profit. Yeah. So you could see the same box get purchased and sold and purchased and sold and purchased and sold multiple times, but that doesn't actually increase the number in the market. It just means the same box is being sold multiple times. So that's where things get tricky, is trying to determine how many of these are actually for sale. Is it 20? Is it 2,000? Is it 50? Where's that, threshold? The other thing is, and I hate to say this, but it just happens in card games. Sometimes life hits people really hard and they have to liquidate things that are worth money at a loss so that they can pay a bill or cover the cost of something, or they have to move. So like over the course of time, you will see people liquidating these cards for a fraction of the cost. And if you're at the right place at the right time, you'll be able to pick them off for much less than $2,000. So, there's a lot of give, a lot of take, a lot of ebb, a lot of flow. It's a dance. But if I had to guess, in the long term, I do think that the value of the D23 foil set 6 cards will not be in the $2,000 to $3,000 range. I think it's going to drop significantly lower than where it's at. I do think it'll retain value if, again, the game goes for a long period of time, but I just think Mickey Mouse has just way more face value than the characters in this set. Like Elsa's probably another hot one that could spike the price, but like I don't look at Robin Hood and think, boy, this car is going to be worth $5,000 in 2037, because he's just not, he doesn't have that kind of staying power compared to Mickey, and Elsa is really popular right now. So
what do you think about the fact that, assumably collectors will market this set along with a complete first set of the base set, right? And all the different types of treatments of the base set. They will market these together as complete set, right?
Yeah.
They're going to say that, you look back at Magic, the history of a 30-year-old game, you see like a complete set of Magic that needs to include a Black Lotus. A complete set of Lorcana needs to include a D23 set, right?
Sure,
that's the argument.
The question is an excellent question, and I feel like Magic is a tricky one because Black Lotus literally warped the game. You could turn 0 kill someone with that card, which is why it's so incredibly and prohibitively expensive.
It was a power level thing too, right? In addition to being rare.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So it's hard to look at Magic and go, well, a first edition set of Magic is worth tens of thousands of dollars, because we know that the Power 9 and the Black Lotus basically breaks the game. Like if you have those cards, you're going to win because they're just so brutally overpowered. We have no idea what the power level of these cards are at the current iteration. And based on the faces and expressions made by the developers on YouTube videos, I don't get the sense that these cards are going to be the power level of a Black Lotus or a Time Walk or any of those Moxes. Right. So I don't think that the power level of the card is going to be relative to the value. I do agree that collectors are going to say, here's like a full set of Lorcana plus the D23 stamped cards, all 7 of them. But something I learned really early on when it came to the secondary market and trying to make a sale is the card's only worth what people value it at.
Mhm.
So if you don't have a buyer, I could say that this Mickey Mouse card is worth $1,000,000,000. And if nobody buys it, I am sitting on a card worth nothing.
Right.
So the real question is, what are people willing to pay? Will people ask for $3,000? Probably. Will people pay $3,000? I don't know. Again, you tell me I can buy foil stamped cards for $3,000 and the average booster box for Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon is $100. Do you know how many booster boxes of product I could buy for $3,000? That's a lot.
Yeah.
And now I'm looking at this from a fiscal, like logistical perspective. Like I could spend $3,000 for 6 cards, or I could spend $3,000 for many booster boxes of product, which if I crack and they are really good cards, I could then sell. So I could actually make money off of cracking, 100 booster boxes. So, I mean, again, it's all about perspective. If you're a collector and it's worth that value to you, it's just like pin trading with Disney pins. I'm a big pin trader. If a pin is worth $500 to you and $20 to me, that's the value of the pin to us as individuals. I'm willing to pay $20. You're willing to pay $500. What's the value of the pin? What I'm willing to pay for it. So
100%, yeah.
So it's a tricky question because you can ask whatever you want. Will someone pay for it? I don't know.
A future topic will be, we won't get into it tonight because we're already going long, but the grading of these cards and the grading of cards in general will be another topic we have to touch on at some point.
Oh yes.
Oh man. Well, okay. I'll preface with, we're probably going to be able to talk about that with, educated discussion once we have them in our hands.
Right.
Because I pray to God they're not like Pokemon. That is a brutal card to grade. It's so ruthless. Ooh. Oh,
I have Mickey's in my hand, by the way. I have Mickey's.
You have them in your hand?
Oh, do you? Okay.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So you've played,
I have Mickey's.
Oh, I'm jealous. You've played plenty of card games. Can you give us a quick description of the cardboard and how you feel about it compared to Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood? Like high quality, low quality, mid quality? You like it? You hate it?
Oh, I feel like it's card a month. So many of these games we're talking about Magic and Flesh and Blood, and I assume probably Dragon Ball Super. I don't know for a fact, but they're made by a company called the actual cards are physically printed by a company called Card on Monday, right? Which I believe is a foreign company, but I believe they have maybe a U.S. office now too. It feels like it's made just like a Magic card, same type of quality of cardboard. The ink looks great. I was going to do a light test to it because I've seen posts about it there being translucent light, but I didn't do that yet. About the light, the symbol shines through on the back apparently.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So I'll do that for our next time I report back. But no, I put up next to a Flesh and Blood card, and they feel like the same kind of card stock. And the inking looks great.
Very nice. That was a huge concern of mine, is that they're going to be like that, like really thin, like hard stock that Pokemon has. So that drives me crazy.
No, it feels like a Magic card to me.
Good.
Or it'll be too thick, like Vanguard. Those things are like
yes. Yeah, they are.
Initially, I liked it, but then like shuffling it, I'm like, oh no, I don't love the thickness of these cards. Okay, well that's good news. I mean, like I said, I really think Ravensburger has got a lot of these little checklisted questions a lot of people have kind of answered. They seem to have a lot of experience. They seem to have a lot of know-how. So I trust them, especially now that you've got Mickey's in your hand. Where do you live?
Minnesota. Wait, I see what you're saying. No, I don't live anywhere. I don't live anywhere.
Oh, okay. Wink, wink. All right, so
you can come over whenever you want, Sugi. You come over whenever you want. I'm not going to come
steal your cards. I have integrity, maybe. Don't worry about it.
Sleep with one eye open, Chris.
I'll send Jack Skellington over. He's really good at breaking and entering, as we've seen in these hilarious movies.
Despite my earlier comments, I have not bought a base set yet. I'm holding off on that. I am looking at them. I'm watching the prices, but I agree that it's a little bit too much unknown for me to drop that kind of money on the base set or the
D23
cards.
set. Right. Yeah. So here's a quick question, and then we have a listener question, and we're going to wrap up the show because we're just having so much fun. I don't know if we may never get to that 45-minute mark. We always say we're going to record and do a 45-minute show, and boy, we're liars.
Just wait till James gets back. Then there's 4 of those.
Woo! It's going to be fun. All right. So a question for Chris, since you ponied up for Mickey and you found a number that you liked. What's a number you liked if you saw it on eBay and it said, buy it now? What would you pay for the 6 cards? I'm not talking about like high or low. Like what's a number that you
Right.
saw? You're like, man, that's a number I'm totally comfortable with.
I would feel if I saw a number for $1,000 right now, which there was one that just sold for 1,100 with a damaged folder and a damaged
Ugh.
folder.
Okay.
But so that obviously changes things. But yes, for a full undamaged copy, if around $1,000, I think is fair given what they've been going for. But again, that's still taking a big risk in my opinion. Like you said, it could go down, but it could also go up a lot. This is basically a form of for lack of a better word, gambling, right? It's speculation. If you're just doing it for resale value, you're betting that this is going to be worth more you pay for. It's like the stock market, like anything else. You're making a bet. And something that's as much of an educated bet as you can make. And I would be making that bet based on believing that collectors are going to want this in the future. So 1,000.
Okay, that's fair. My number is lower. I would probably do it for 300 to 400, but I know that is a very, very low and very conservative number. I'm thinking about, like, I should clarify this statement. I'm thinking about that number when it's like 2025 and the game has been out for a year and there's other foil stamped con cards, and these are not the only ones on the market. And so at that point, I'm going to anticipate people trying to liquidate those cards because they're probably going to drop in value. And so they see, oh, my cards aren't worth what I thought they were. Sell. And that's the thing, is as a person who's worked in the secondary market, I am super patient. I am willing to wait a long time because I know that I can get the number I want if I'm willing to wait out the market. So
but that statement is, you're saying that the market always goes down, which is not true. The market is that you would agree the market can go up.
Oh yeah. No, I think
Okay.
the market can go up, but I'm suspicious that after the first year to 2 years, there are going to be really cool D23 cards. So
Yeah.
again, speculation. I'm going to wager we're probably going to see Pixar and Marvel and Star Wars, and those are going to garner huge prices. And then you're going to have this set, which it is the first set, but you're going to see people trying to, liquidate, a Luke Skywalker and a Darth Vader versus, a Maleficent and a Cruella de Vil. And I'm not trying to put like a devalue on. I'm just saying, like, in the long term of all of the potential options, I don't look at those cards and think they're probably the most valuable or desirable cards we're ever going to see, which would infer that I think people are going to try and lowball sell them to make some kind of money because they've just been sitting on them hoping that, maybe they'll shoot up to, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, and they may or they may not, but I'm willing to wait and find out. But yeah, you're right. The market could just shoot up and be astronomically high. Traditionally, though, it usually kind of peters out.
And listeners, that's why we're going to have a good podcast here, because we're going to disagree back and forth, right? I think, like by your example there, is great. The only reason in my opinion, that these should go down, and I've said this already, is that more are printed. Like, let's say that they print the same D23 set every year. They come back next year and they print, this is their D23 set, right?
Okay.
Then clearly these are the same cards printed a different printing. Even then, this first printing, you know how that works. I'll tell you listeners, like, that may not have a history with card games. Even then, the first printing will be worth more than the second printing. That's just how the card games go. They can be the same exact card with the same foiling, the same stamp. The first printing will be worth more than the second printing. It won't. We're not talking about that it'd be worth a ton more. In those cases, usually it's maybe a 10-20% difference, whatever. That's not going to be a huge difference, but that they will be more the first printing than the second printing. So that in that concept, I can see the price dropping dramatically because there'll be a lot more in the market, right?
And I'm just trying to be conservative because there's a lot of people who are saying, Lorcana is going to be super expensive and you'll never be able to play it because it's going to be too expensive. And I don't think that's the case.
Not at all. Right. I hope that's what listeners hear from us, is that we're talking about collectors versus players. And again, I feel, like you said, very secure that the developers recognize that. And the biggest part about to play the game is the ability to get all the cards you need to play the game at a reasonable price. And it sounds like they recognize that if you listen to this podcast at this point, you should know that I believe all of us will agree that we think this game will be affordable for TCG, which is which would be the base price of being able to play the game. Won't be in this $3,000 range we're seeing right now.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is I'm willing to admit that we could be wrong, we could be right. We're just kind of having fun. The big takeaway I want people to understand while they're listening is the current market is really high. That's just a fact. It's really, really high.
Yes.
Will it go lower? Probably, but not anytime soon. And for those of you who are like wondering, well, how can I get my hands on this without paying $3,000? You have to wait and you have to play the patient game, because right now this is just the hot thing on the market. Everyone's talking about Lorcana, whether they're saying it's going to be good, it's going to be bad, it's going to sizzle, or it's going to fizzle, or it's going to be woo. There's so much PR and there's so few cards available. So just naturally, the value of the cards is really, really high. That's why I'm saying I think the value will drop once more cards are available, because people will see I can buy the same card out of a booster pack, so I don't really need to pay $3,000, which will mean that less of these sets are selling, which will force collectors to lower their price if they want to actually liquidate the product. If they just want to sit on it and say it's $3,000 and it's going to be $3,000 forever, then you know what? That's just how it is. That's how people play the game. So there's no way to tell. I'm just guesstimating off of a lot of other games I've played and played the secondary market game. Traditionally, people break and they go, cool, I can't sell this for $3,000, so I'm going to sell it for $2,000. Oh, no one will buy that. $1,500. Okay, maybe I have 10 and one person bought it, but I'm still sitting on product that it's making me zero money, so maybe I have to drop the price. Because the thing is, if someone's sitting on a set of cards and they're trying to make money, so they bought this with the intent of, I'm going to flip a profit, and if they're sitting on all this product that's making no money, they have to make a decision. Do I want to have cardboard doing nothing, or am I willing to take a small cut from what I originally wanted and make money? And that's just the waiting game. You have to figure out, are you willing to wait? Are they willing to wait? Like I was asking Chris, what's that number? Jason, what's your number? If you saw a number today on eBay, what would you pull the trigger on?
So I'm kind of the middleman here in this situation, where your number, and again, just to are we talking about Mickey alone or the set of 7?
The 7. If you're on eBay and someone says, I've got a Mickey, I've got the 7, the 6 cards from D23.
Yeah. Here's
the number. What would you pull the trigger on?
I mean, honestly, like I really am kind of in between you guys. I think for me, and I know like it's probably never going to happen unless like they really do tank. For me combined, I mean, I think that number is somewhere between like 500 or 600, because like I just can't like at some point I can't like justify like the higher costs, but I do understand the first printing and the collectability and the history aspect of it, like we've been talking about.
Okay, yeah, that's actually a pretty good number. I like that number a lot.
One more comment I just want, based on what you said, Sugi, is that as a TCG player, you're going to have to, what I would advocate for, what I hope, maybe you guys agree with it, I hope, is that you can't collect it all, right? Nobody, unless you are sitting here as a collector, your goal will be going forward, get every treatment of every car version that's released with Lorcana, right? Which may be a goal some people have. That goal is going to be very expensive. That goal will be, especially based on what we see so far. So like when I go into these types of games as somebody that likes to collect and likes to play, I generally, find a deck I like, I find a character I like. These I assume this game will be themed around, the heroes you put in your deck, something like that. So you'll have a Elsa deck, right? You'll have a Captain Hook main character deck, something of that nature. So I find, a part of the game I like, and then I try to put my resources to that, because we all have limited resources. Nobody in this, at least on this podcast, has unlimited resources to buy all these things, right? So really focusing on what you like about the game. Maybe you just want to collect. You want to collect certain cards. If you want to collect cards from all conventions, that type of thing, that's fine. Maybe you want to just play the game and you want to get as many different cards as you can, the cheapest version of them, so you can play as many varieties of the game as you want to play. But I would just encourage people that like the point of a TCG is not to collect it all generally. Even though some people, as we talked about this hour, some people that will be their goal. I wouldn't say that's a goal that's shared by the majority of the community.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's kind of the fun thing about Lorcana is if you're a collector, you have something to collect. If you're a player, you can get the cards you need to play. If you're a hybrid of the two, you can do both. There's not really a right or wrong way to do it. There's obviously going to be people who are going to buy cards and try and sell it because Disney just means money. It's really easy to have a card or a Disney property where you buy it, you sit on it, and then you flip it, and that's just what people do. So yeah, regardless of you as a person and your relationship with collecting or playing or both, it's fun and you should do it the way you want to do it because that makes it special to you. All right, so we have a listener question. Thank you to Citizens of Lorcana on Twitter. And they asked a really great question I want to talk about here for just a few minutes before we wrap up with a Disney trivia question.
Yay.
We're going to have some fun. But thank you again to Citizens of Lorcana. They asked, what do you think distribution of set 1 will be like? Collectors are going to snatch up product as quickly as possible. How does Ravensburger thread the needle to make sure there is enough product for both collectors and players? A fantastic question that just so happens to coincide with this episode. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Right.
So what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the topic in terms of set distribution, especially since all three of us have gone through games that have great set distribution and games that do not have great set distribution? Wink, wink. So thoughts on this question? Yeah, looking at you, Yu-Gi-Oh, short printing, Ash Blossom.
We don't short print.
Man, bogus. It's a family-friendly show.
I know.
Like, man, I wanted to say something that's bologna sauce.
I think there's almost no way to get it right. That's just the way it is. Even with established card games, they have a real difficult time of knowing how much to print and how what a good number is. It probably will be underprinted. That's just even looking at the. I know we're going to argue, right?
We might. Yeah.
Even looking at the interest from D23, looking at the interest of it being a Disney game, that's an unknown number, right? It does. I assume this game, like other Ravensburger games, like Villainous, is in Target, in Walmart. I hope in addition to that, they will also have a distribution with local game stores. That's very important for me and for building a community around the game. So I really hope they don't try to just do mass releases. I hope they also do distribution to smaller stores as well. But I'm anticipating that it's going to be probably underprinted. Just because of the interest in not knowing how much they need to print. Therefore, I believe it will probably come out in waves. So they'll have, whenever you make a card game like this, again, assuming that somebody like Cardamonde or like this big company that all they do is actually print these card games. I don't know who's making this game, like actually physically putting the image onto the cardboard. But it takes a lot of work to do that, and it takes many months. Like right now, they're probably at a stage where they're getting ready to print the actual cards right now. I would assume like a year out, right? Because they have to get printed, they have to get stored, they have to get shipped, they have to get distributed. So it takes a very long time to get these card games made. So it probably will be a thing where it's going to be released in a number of waves. That first set, but I go for underprinted. That's where I'm going.
All right, Jason, what you think?
Yeah. So I read this question. I was mulling it over, and of course, like Chris mentioned, I think it's of course, hopefully going to be in Target, maybe Walmart, those big boxes, and then of course, hopefully, support those LGSs. I think we all agree that's very important. Given the history of most games, I'm inclined to agree with Chris that it will be underprinted. Unfortunately, I think I don't know. Part of me wants to say like maybe given the eBay prices for what we've been talking about, maybe they will like anticipate enough. But traditionally, I can speak from the Dragon Ball Super side of things. When it comes to ordering sets, especially with LGSs, they typically under order because they don't anticipate the interest level of a set. And the reason for that is because Bandai, the company that produces the game, doesn't tell them ahead of time. Like they give them like a summary, but they don't know exactly like what's in the set. So they can't, hype it up due to legal reasons, basically. So I think, unfortunately, the game will be underprinted initially for that first run. Now, a thought I had when I saw this question, and I think Sugi might have touched on it earlier, do you guys think these packs will be sold, say, at Disney parks to help with that distribution?
Ooh, oh boy.
Well,
no.
So okay. What's your answer to the first question first, Sugi? Then we could go to the second question.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm actually going to pivot on the question a little bit because I don't know if that's the right question in my brain. I think Ravensburger is going to print as many as they can possibly print within a range of just not overprinting. However, I think the issue isn't going to be did they print enough, but is the demand greater than the print based on is the game interesting? Is the game good?
Right.
Are there going to be multiple rarities? Because I guarantee you, if they go, okay, we're going to play this like Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's like, you got common, rare with some kind of stupid foiling that nobody cares about, super
Right.
rare holographic, ultra rare holographic with foiled lettering, and
Cold
secret
foil.
rare.
And
where
secret
there's some
rares,
kind-
yeah.
then I can guarantee you that not only will players be buying as much as they can, but collectors are going to be buying as much as they can, and scalpers are going to be buying as much as they can, and random TCG players are going to try and buy as much as they can because they want to flip for that super secret reverse holofoil alternate art print Mickey that's going for, $1,000.
Yep.
If they say, hey, there is common, uncommon, and rare has like a special holofoil, then that might dissuade the collectors and scalpers from going crazy because the artificial value of the cards might not necessarily be super high. Also, I don't think this will happen, but if for some reason Ravensburger releases how to play the game and you're basically playing solitaire or war, that might dissuade some people from actually wanting to play the game. So that'll also decrease the amount of people who want to buy. There's so many different potentialities where we could see a lot of people want in for multiple reasons, or some people want in because, like, I know a lot of Magic players right now, they're like, until I see the game and the rarity, I don't care. And it's the same for, like, I have Yu-Gi-Oh friends, Magic friends, Pokemon friends, Flesh and Blood friends. Like, people play all kinds of card games. And at the current point, they're very happy with the games that they play. And unless there's just something really unique or something really special going on, they honestly don't anticipate pivoting. They might pick up like the first set for fun, but they're not going to buy, like a case.
Right.
So it's a tricky question because we don't know what's going to happen, especially if the game is very like child friendly. Like, we want our demographic to be, 10 to 15 year olds. Well, that may or may not draw people in who are not that demographic. Like we'll play it, but if it's like, each booster box is guaranteed to have, 6 of the 10, super rares. Oh, well, then I only really need 2, and then we could trade amongst ourselves because we'll probably have duplicates. So I don't need to buy more than 2 or 3 boxes. I mean, there's so many different potentialities.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, especially when, Chris and James were talking about maybe there's only 1 copy of a card versus multiple copies of a card.
Mhm.
That could easily sway the distribution if you can only have 1 copy, because once you've got the second copy, you're just going to trade or sell it away for a new card. We also don't know the size of the set. That's a big thing. If it's a small set, that's bad. If it's a big set, that's good, in my opinion. It's tricky, but I personally don't think it's underprinted. I think the attention to the game and the people it brings in will affect if it's harder to get or regular to get.
Awesome.
But let's go to Jason's question. I think this is a really good way to wrap up the show before we do our trivia question. So go ahead and pose that question again. I want to hear what Chris thinks about this.
Yeah, sure. So the question I had was, based off our distribution topic, do we think that the Lorcana packs or starter decks or whatever will they be sold either in Disney parks or on Disney property, whether it's here in Florida, California, Paris, Tokyo, wherever?
I don't see them selling base set packs. Like you go there, you buy a box from downtown Disney or anything of that nature. Maybe on the surrounding areas. I think that maybe downtown Disney is what I'm talking about. But like actually in the park at a store, a gift shop store in the park, I don't see them selling the packs there. What I see more of, and I think is related to your question, is certain areas having, again, special treatments of the cards. So like if you go to, Snow White's Enchanted Castle, maybe you could get a full art copy of her card from the set.
Ooh.
Some of that I see that being, or maybe even tied, like normal Disney stuff, maybe be tied to certain events or times of the year, that kind of stuff on a limited basis. Again, we're just talking about different treatments, right? We're not talking about you have to go to Florida, you have to go to California to get a card to be able to play your favorite deck, right? But
exactly,
maybe
yeah.
But maybe you have to go there to get a foil version of Snow White, right? that maybe that might be. I think that's interesting. I think that's a way to support a secondary market and encourage people to visit certain areas of the park, that kind of stuff, without shutting people out of playing the game. Because that's really what comes to me is like people need to be able to get the cards to play, but there also needs to be something special to make the cards worth money, have a real value, right? So that's what I see.
All right, Sugi, what do you think?
Yeah, I can agree with Chris on this one. The rare moment that we agree.
Oh God! Oh wow!
I actually do not think we're going to see booster packs in the cards in the theme parks. I just don't see Disney wanting people playing a trading card game in front of the Little Mermaid attraction, or cracking a booster pack in Gaston's Tavern. It just for someone who's been in the parks for so many years of my life, the trading card kind of breaks the theme, in my opinion, because that's not what the gift shops are selling. They're selling things that are it's a part of the Disney experience. Like if you leave Star Tours and the Star Traders, you're going to have a bunch of Star Wars themed items and like Star Wars Mickey, and everything is related to that experience you had in that attraction. So that way you buy something and you remember, oh, I got this Chewbacca plush after I rode in the front part of Star Tours and they found me as the spy, and you have this like really cool memory. I don't really get the feeling like they're going to have booster packs around for people to grab and go, oh, I got my Lorcana pack. And I can hear people in the east side, or the East Coast, with Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. They have that game, but you can also get packs for free. You can buy a booster pack, but the game is integrated into the parks as an adventure. You're not actually sitting down and playing a trading card. I've actually hardly ever seen anyone even use that game at the parks, maybe like 3 times in my entire time. So I can hear the argument, well, Disney sells cards. They do, but it's also part of the theme park experience. It's not a collectible trading card game like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! There is collectability, but at the same point, like all of the cards are free in packs. If you can go to the Firehouse, they do have packs you can buy that have limited foiled rarities. But again, like there's no real big value on these cards. They're not thousands of dollars at all. I could potentially see special cards in the parks, but again, I really don't think Disney is going to support it in the parks, because why would they? They don't have to do anything. Ravensburger is the one who has to shoulder all the responsibility. Disney is making money from a literal signature. So
sure, but Disney would make more money, which Disney likes money. I mean, like if they support the game, and people have something to go to the parks for, like, so if I'm a Lorcana guy and I want to go get this special card, either I got to buy on the secondary market or I have to go visit Disney. So it's a win-win for everybody.
It's so hard because the problem is the margins on trading cards are abysmal. Like,
yeah.
If I had to guess, if you had a Disney executive and you said, hey, would you rather have someone buy a pack of Lorcana or sign up for a subscription of Disney Plus, I would wager $100 million that they would say, we want the Disney Plus membership more than anything else. So like you're not wrong.
Because that's recruiting like revenue every month as opposed to
right. Yeah. So a Lorcana booster pack makes money, but I don't think it makes the kind of money Disney really cares about, because they want recurring subscription, lots of like long-term sustainability versus, oh, hey, cool, you bought a booster pack, great, you spent $4. So that's just me looking at it from from a multi-million-dollar company, like, oh, hey, you bought a booster pack, or you sign up for a subscription, which we might have you for years, which would then give us the opportunity with the new advertisements to have you come to the parks. And because I don't think they're going to have advertisements in the booster packs to go to theme parks, so I don't know. It to me, it just doesn't register as something Disney would really push, in my opinion.
They lease the IP, so they see some value in it, right? So we have to speculate that they wouldn't let people make a trade card game if they didn't see a value to them. right?
Sure.
So the question is what that value is, right?
Yeah, and I don't think that the value is in theme parks. I think the value is in big box stores, families, and friendly local game stores where they're selling DuckTales comic books and Topps trading cards and Villainous the board game and conveniently Lorcana the trading card game, because you don't really see any of those things in the theme parks because that's not what the demographic is going for. They're not there to buy trading cards. They're there to make memories and take pictures and ride, Peter Pan with their kids. And like I said, I just don't get the sense that this is something that the theme parks care about or even need, because it's not in the same ecosystem. They're two completely different things based on my perspective.
What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, to address my own question, I mean, I'm actually more on Chris's side with this, because if you tell me as a massive Marvel and MCU fan, come out to Disneyland, go to Avengers Campus, and get a Tom Holland, Spider-Man from Web Slingers that has like the Avengers Campus stamp on it.
Bro.
You better believe I'm gonna go to Disneyland.
Don't you dare!
And I'm gonna do that. Hey, I'm putting that out into the universe. Kevin Feige, our Lord and Savior, make it happen.
I hate you if they have signed cards. I'm just gonna straight up say if they have signed cards.
Trust me. I am saving signed cards for a different topic, because we do have some signed voice actor cards in Dragon Ball Super, and they are worth a lot of money.
Yep. I've got some of those cards from other games, and they're very expensive.
But say like here, like being at Epcot, we recently had Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Fantastic roller coaster if you ever get to come visit. But what if there's like a Rocket and Groot team up, Lorcana card? Give it to me. I'll take it. So I mean, from the business aspect of it, I 100% understand your point. I don't think the company is interested in that, but at the same time, again, pins make a lot of money, plush but I understand your point. But I just think if there's maybe a more thematic way to go about it, then it doesn't really cost them that much to do it at the end of the day.
Right.
Yeah, I could see it. I also want to play devil's advocate, because I knew you were going to be on Chris's side, and it's boring radio if we all agree about the same thing. So
That's fair, buddy. Fair.
I'm going to be the evil, maniacal voice of opinionation. All right.
Me and Jason are going to team up and go visit the parks while you sit at home, okay?
No,
And then
we'll go to D23 and get sent to.
Right.
And you won't have one.
You of all people know that I'm willing to go to the parks on a whim. Don't even at me. That is dirty. I literally decided to go to Disney World. What was it? A week and a half out?
Yeah. The second you told me, I said, bro, I will find a way to be there. And I made it happen.
Yeah, I literally messaged Jason on Facebook. I'm like, I think I'm going to go to Disney World for my birthday. When's your birthday? Week and a half? Do you have any tickets or flight? No, I'm just going to pony up right now. I'm ordering my tickets right now. So, yeah, I'll do it. Watch me. So, but I think this formulates a really good topic of conversation, because there is no current answer. It's really fun to speculate, and I could see it going either way. The big takeaway we want to make sure people get, as much fun and as much goofing off as we're having, is there's no way to read the secondary market. There's so many variables. There's so many things that could happen. We're having this conversation 3 weeks into the lifespan of the game. There is no possible way we will know what happens in a year. We can guesstimate based on other card games and other trends and other factors, but we really just have to wait for the release of the game and see, will these cards go up? Will these cards go down? Will they do anything at all? And that's kind of the fun of it, because people who are purchasing cards right now are basically casting their vote that they think something cool and something neat might happen with these cards and they might go up. Whereas people who are waiting are casting their vote that we may or may not think that anything is going to happen. Or honestly, most people, I would wager, just don't have $3,000 sitting around in their back pocket to drop on 6 cards. Because I know for most people who are married, if you went to your wife and said, "Hey, baby, guess what I just got for $3,000? Whoa, did you buy us a vacation? No, it's even better. Did you get us a new car? No, it's even better. Well, what is it? I bought us 6 foiled cards from D23.
Right.
It's going to be a cold night on that couch, my friend." So yeah, it's an interesting topic, but the best part is you don't actually need the cards because the cards will be available to play in the booster set once it hits stores. So for collectors, it's great. For players, it's also great because you don't need it. You can get it at your leisure. As we wrap up this episode, we've said multiple times, we're actually going to do it. So I am going to throw out something fun as we end all of our shows now. We're going to have some Disney trivia.
Okay.
So are you guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
So listeners, you are free to think about this as well. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. What is the slogan for Monsters Incorporated?
Oh.
And the answer is, we scare because we care.
Okay, all right. Chris, what you got?
I was going to say something like building a better something. Can I remember? I'm really bad.
Oh, yeah. Building a better future for tomorrow. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. No, Jason is correct. It is
Okay.
we scare because we care. So well done. We'll have to query James next time and
Yes.
see if he can answer that question. But well done. That was a lot of fun. Thank you for participating. And that is the end of our show. Clearly not a 45-minute podcast, but don't worry. We will
Double
eventually,
that.
yeah, we'll eventually figure out how to have a podcast that's not an absurd amount of time.
Oh my God.
But with the power of editing, it will be shorter, so that's good. But thank you to everyone for listening and joining us on this marvelous adventure. Thank you to Jason for joining us. Thank you for Chris for coming back. Do you guys have any last things you want to say before we get on out of here?
Yeah, glad to be a part of the team. This was super fun and looking forward to our magical journey together.
Have a great week, y'all.
All right, so you can find us if you enjoyed the show on Twitter as well as Facebook at LorcanaCast. And then you can also check us out. We are affiliated with LorcanaHQ.com. So there are articles, the podcast is there, all kinds of cool content and creation. There's a link to the Lorcana HQ Discord and Facebook group where there are lots of people. I think there's like over 1,000 in the Discord. So a really great community where you can, meet friends, family, people who think alike, people who disagree with you, people who like Dole Whip and think that Jack Skellington is a really cool character. So with all of that said, thank you everyone for joining us. We will see you next time. And remember, Ohana means family. Nobody gets left behind. Nobody gets forgotten.
The sticky wheels always getting the grease. I'm so